Welcome to another episode of Ageless Philosophy by Alexander Blucher. This is episode 8, titled Headquarters. Today we're covering, hold up now. We just want to have to take a break and visualize. All right. Normally I have my words and terms on this slide right here, but we are taking a break today. The freestyle talking points of the vision will still be there. And then we have the example, the vision. On the diagram on the right side, switch a lot of things over. It is starting from the top is the example, the vision, the middle example, vision, the bottom example, vision, because we're talking about the headquarters here. Headquarters may consist of just requiring that amount of space for employees, office space, equipment, just to be able to get that business or corporation going. Right. So I must give you guys a heads up. Today's slide is slides or presentation. Today's presentation is one of my laziest presentations because I really didn't put a lot of information on the slides. If you could see the difference, if you've been following through the sequence of 1 through 7 of Ageless Philosophy 1 through 7, I'm very detailed and trying to give you guys some pointers and some definitions and terms, but just relax today, okay, if you're listening in sequence. All right, so we have here Toyota. The year it was established, 1937, okay? If you know the background and the history of Toyota, it was due to a family member, I think it was a nephew, reaching out to the uncle and saying, hey, uncle, is it possible I could borrow $1 million? I'm about to run it up. Just joking. But the nephew asked the uncle, as the example here, that just to borrow $1 million just to start a whole car manufacturer business going on. And it was established in 1937. It's about 12 years now. This video was made in 2025. I'm your speaker, Alexander Blucher. So I'm putting this whole video together in the year of 2025, and is 12 years away from the 100-year celebration of Toyota, right? I left a lot of room of giving you guys the time to do your due diligence, historical due diligence on Toyota and what time frame and how it evolved over the years from just being a little small engine car when it came over to the US, from my understanding. It was a lot of oil changes. It wasn't the engine wasn't built to go about a good 1,000 miles road trip. It wasn't built for that. It was just built just to go around the corner, a point A to point B car, So also to mention that, the price points on the Toyota was on point. You could get a Corolla. I don't know how much a Corolla is going for now, but you could get a Corolla for less than $20,000 at one point, right? So it was just small, convenient car, point A to point B, right? And they have different models. I'm not going to go through all the models now, but that's the deal, all right, when it comes to Toyota. Now we have here next is the Mercedes. The year it was established was 1926, all right? Now, next year from this video, it'll be 100 years Mercedes been in business, right? Go and check out the historical meaning, or from my understanding, was also underneath a family name, or I don't know if it was cousins. It was Mercedes Benz. So somebody was named Mercedes, the other person was named Benz. They joined it together, and also Chrysler is coming to mind too. I think Chrysler was Chrysler part of that whole thing. I don't even know. I just threw that in there, but hopefully I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong on Chrysler. But when it came to Mercedes, Mercedes definitely was doing this thing where it hit the luxury market, where it had to be on point with the diesel engine. I don't know if you guys are remember when Mercedes had diesel engines. It had to be on point with the windshield, not the windshield wiper, but it had like the wiper on the headlights. One time I was like, looking back at it now, like, wow, what's the point of that? But they want to give you that, hey, we thinking about you. If you're in the rain, we got the wipers on the headlights. If you go into a special event, everybody's going to turn their head and look your way because you're going to an event. All right, Mercedes had that kind of luxury feel when driving around the car. They have the C-Class models, the E-Class, and so on, right? So as you can see here, what, as time evolved, where Mercedes been from the 1926. All right, established year, right? Next slide. We have Heinz, established 1869. Heinz was established year was 1869. Now, for most demographics, they or individuals or community may not have the opportunity to start a business around that time, right? The 1869, but Heinz did, right? Where I'm pretty sure with their ketchup products or any other products, they had to start from 10 cents. They had to go into the community and say, hey, there goes some ketchup. You ain't got to worry about making your own ketchup. Here you go for 10 cents, 20 cents. I'm just throwing a number out there. I'm pretty sure it was in the cents around this time of starting a product, right? And how Heinz was able to evolve over the years. And what's the history behind Heinz? I'm giving you guys the room to do your research on that. This is why I call it the most laziest presentation I've put together, because I left room for you guys, all right? So I'm taking accountability on that. So next one is Coca-Cola, established year was 1892. All right. From my understanding, Coca-Cola had that special drink some years ago. They had put special ingredients to give to their customers. And I think the government or whoever got involved, like, I don't know about putting that special drink, that special ingredient in the drink. We need to cut that out. So it was a time period that was okay to put that ingredient in Coca-Cola, but they took it out. 1892, it was established. They got out. It's been over 100 years. They're still in business now, doing very well. Not hating against the company I'm not hating against any of these companies that I'm bringing up today. I'm just giving you guys the vision of the headquarters, the vision of okay, growing a company, we got the fundamentals going, but how far can we go? These examples of these successful companies can be your company one day, right? And the job opportunity that these companies have brought to the market, I'm pretty sure has been very helpful for most families and communities, right? So that's Coca-Cola. Do your due diligence on that and the history points on Coca-Cola. All right. And before I go on to the next slide, I do want to bring up that I had a closing question on episode 7. If your business were to start in 1910 or 1920s, what would be the value of your company today if it stayed strong and everything is going well with the company? What would be the value today? We're in the 2020s. Can you imagine what would be the value of a company at 2110? That would be 2,110. It sounds far-fetched, but it can be done. It only takes time for that to happen to your company, and for those to continue seeking the value and the mission statement to keep the company going, right? So yeah, that was for headquarters. Moving on to the next slide here, supply chain. I almost made it a lazy presentation, but I had to put the definition of supply chain in there. All right, so supply chain, the network of all individuals, organizations, resources, activities, and technology involved in the creation and sale of a product. I'll say that again. Supply chain, the network of all the individuals, organizations, resources, activities, and technology involved in the creation and sale of a product. All right. And I put here together Toyota, Mercedes, Heinz, Coca-Cola, right? Now I just threw something together. So I could have picked another company, but I just chose to pick Toyota, Mercedes, Heinz, Coca-Cola. If I've been pronouncing Toyota incorrectly, please excuse me. Somebody told me some years ago the way I pronounced Toyota was incorrect, but hey, I try my best. All right. So that's where we are right now. On the top right, I add another definition there: fictitious business, right? A name used by a natural person or entity for conducting business under such a name, which is different from its legal name. All right, that's the definition of fictitious business. I'll read that again. A name used by a natural person or entity for conducting business under such a name, which is different from its legal name. So let's get into it. Where we're talking about Toyota. I say Toyota now, right? But Toyota, right? From my understanding, I heard that they got a whole city going. They went from a car manufacturer to a whole city. I forgot to mention that earlier. I'm mentioning it now. That hey, we not a car manufacturer anymore. We a whole city, and I think there's rumors out there that they doing a space shuttle. They putting together a whole space shuttle thing going on. So it's very interesting, right? Where the company where the vision of $1 million selling cars is on a whole nother level right now, right? So we'll come back to Toyota, on to Mercedes. All right, Mercedes here. Hey, you part of a supply chain. You're gonna be able to reach out to supervisors, probably real estate agent, probably some doctor or professor, somebody is going to be driving a Mercedes, just to let people know the job did a very tremendous job of paying me well, so I'm going to drive a Mercedes. And going back to Toyota, I think that's why I want to lead with Toyota now, be able to cover just a point A to point B type of transportation. So hey, if the value point is there, why not just get a simple car, point A to point B? It doesn't matter if you're an entry level of a job or if you just want to continue saving money, saving gas, and you work your way up through the company and drive a Toyota. A Toyota is going to get it done. Mercedes, on the other hand, is like, look, man, we over here, we got the leather seats, we got the style, and we're going to make sure when you pull up to any conference or any party, any gathering, people may turn their heads to look your way. All right, so it's a little bit more sophisticated, if that's the term. It's a little bit more, it emphasizes a little bit more detail in their customers and when purchasing a car like this, right? And then we got Heinz and Coca-Cola, where Heinz, let me add in their ketchup, Heinz ketchup now. Who needs some ketchup on fries or a burger or a hot dog or something? Look, Heinz is going to be there. It's going to show up, right? At your stadium, at your restaurant, it's going to show up some way, somehow, right? Where if you want to be talking about a product on ketchup and on the burgers and the burgers and the hot dogs, so on, you're going to have a Coke with it. You're going to have a Coca-Cola with it. And back at the time, it was called pop soda, from my understanding. So the Coca-Cola would be right there at the stadiums, at the parties, you name it. So I was using it. I was thinking of an example. Well, if there was a conference taking place, right? There's a conference taking place. Somebody going to need a car to pull up. It's either going to be a Toyota or a Mercedes, right? No judgment. You're going to need a car to pull up to a conference. And then if there's, say, Heinz is having a conference, we're going to need some drinks. We're going to say, hey, let's bring some cans of Coca-Cola, bottles, however you want to talk about it, and some water. You need some water at the conference, too. Now, it's not going to be drinking soda all the time, right? Where there's already like a little ecosystem going on here from the driving standpoint or the supply chain from Toyota, Mercedes, Heinz, and Coca-Cola, right? There's already like a little system going on there that it may not be focusing on the individual. Heinz is not focusing on selling in the supermarkets to the individual. The access is there. The access is there to get it done, to sell to the individual. Coca-Cola is there to sell to the individual, but it's more of a system that's working, in the best interest of everybody. Going back to supply chain, the network of all the individuals, organizations, resources, activities, and technology in the creation and sale of a product. Very interesting, right? So hopefully that was very clear, and I hope I made some sense in putting this whole thing together. I know it was pretty laid back presentation. It was very, very laid back. I didn't put a lot of details, but hopefully it was some profound statements on what I was saying today. So that's the freestyle subjective speech, A/B literacy on something compared to channel. Moving on. All right. So today's topic was on headquarters. That was the title. I have 3 short clips for you guys, less than 11 minutes. The Toyota headquarter in the US. We have Apple's headquarters. That will be your phone, Apple, computer, Apple. We're gonna take a little look at their headquarter. And we have Heinz merged with Kraft. We're going. It's an old video. Probably I don't know if it's like 5-10 years ago, but it definitely just mentioned about, hey, Heinz is moving with Kraft and the whole headquarters setup. Well, was it a setup? But no, not really much of a setup. But we're going to chat those videos at the end, right? And I'll leave you guys with the closing question. What role should neighbors play in helping people recover from a trauma? No gaslighting here, a genuine question to ask yourself. Closing question. What role should neighborhoods play in helping people recover from trauma? No gaslighting here, a genuine question to ask yourself. With that being said, I'm your host and speaker, Alexander Blucher. That's my contact number there. My email is info@alexander-blucher.com. That's my email. And my website is alexander-blucher.com. All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. With that being said, you guys take care.
You have probably driven by the Toyota campus in Plano, but now we're getting a look inside at some of the perks and pluses that you haven't seen before. Today was the grand opening of the North American headquarters in Plano. News 8's Hannah Davis is there live right now. And Hannah, this certainly isn't an ordinary corporate office space.
Well, Jason, we've been talking about this for 3 years. We've talked about the jobs, the economic impact, but today I do want to show you guys something you probably haven't seen, and it's those really cool features in this $1 billion plus campus out here in Plano. Covering 2.1 million square feet, using 12 acres, yes, acres of glass. Toyota's newly opened North American headquarters has a lot of room for just about everything.
There we go.
So big.
Go ahead.
You might need help getting around.
We're right here. This is where we are. Tell us how to get to this room.
We got a tour from Toyota, a close look at what many people miss from the outside.
Creating this flexible environment for the team members.
The concept, according to Toyota, create a campus that fosters a work-life balance. It's the kind of thing we're used to seeing in Silicon Valley, now right here in North Texas.
People love that we have a sushi chef. Others, I'm finding out, they love the burger bar.
There's 12 restaurants and 5, that's right, 5 places to get Starbucks drinks. Also on-site banking, where you can apply for home loans, a pharmacy and doctor's office, and a 2-story gym with a climbing wall and trainers.
Teaching their instructors how to actually teach the classes that are going to be going on.
And while these designs do sound cool, Toyota says they ultimately support their bottom line. Their bet, changing where and how people work, will pay off. And we'll just have to wait and see if they're right. Guys, it seems like those perks, the list keeps going on, and guess what? It does go on and on. There's actually a test track that's being built out here right now. It's not finished, and what they're going to do is engineers will actually be able to simulate different road conditions so they can test out all the cars and see what works best. That should be done in the next few months. Reporting in Plano, Hannah Davis, Channel 8 News.
Costing a total upwards of $5 billion, the Apple headquarters is one of the most expensive buildings on the planet. The building took 8 years to finish, with over 5 years spent on just its construction. The building was designed by Jobs himself and features a design like no other. Let's take a look at just what this building has to offer. General information. Named Apple Park, the Apple headquarters is a sight to behold. The building covers an area of 176 acres, and surprisingly, over 80% of it has been dedicated to green space. The main building is officially called the Ring, and for good reason, since it's, well, in the shape of a ring. In the center of it is a lush green park. A park inside a park. Apple Park might have a super futuristic design, but plans for its construction were actually made back in 2006 by the Apple founder, Steve Jobs. Innovative design. The top of Apple Park is covered with solar panels. Electricity from these solar panels accounts for 75% of the energy needs of the building, and is a testament to Apple's dedication to sustainability and eco-friendliness. This 4-story work of art is also resistant to earthquakes and is built to cater to 12,000 employees. The circular spaceship is huge, with over a 1-mile circumference. Employees can walk from one to the other, or they can take the on-campus bus. Bikes are also available, once again contributing to the sustainability of it all. Under Apple Park, there's a 2-story garage so employees can drive in and out of the building without disrupting the view. Gray-colored bikes are also available in case you don't want to walk down to the parking lot. Apple Park has been designed to maximize employees' efficiency and to promote as much innovation as possible. To do this, the building has been shaped in a way that promotes employee interaction. Several steps have been taken in this regard, the biggest being the addition of glass walls. Glass walls. Apple has taken a different approach to workspaces as compared to traditional offices. While traditional offices have small cubicles for each employee to sit and work in, Apple Park offers open office space to encourage the free flow of ideas. This also enables employees to socialize with each other so they don't get bored and burnt out working all day. People do have some concerns regarding this since the transparent walls are easy to walk into if you're distracted. In fact, 2 employees actually had to visit the hospital after bumping face first into the walls. After this incident, employees stuck sticky notes on the walls to make them more noticeable. However, the post-it notes were taken down since they disrupted the building design. The garden. The center of Apple Park is covered with over 9,000 drought-resistant trees and quite a few orchards. Jobs was a fan of the foliage work done at Stanford University and actually went ahead and got one of their arborists to design the garden. Various indigenous trees, including fruit trees, including cherry, apricot, olive, and, well, you guessed it, apples, have been planted. Studies have shown that plants are good for both reducing stress and increasing innovation, and Apple is using this to the maximum. Apart from all the trees and orchards, Apple Park also has an artificial pond, which, just like the building it's present in, is a perfect circle. Single restaurant. Instead of multiple restaurants throughout the building, Apple Park has only one main restaurant. There are several smaller cafes, but when it comes to restaurants, there's only one. This decision to have only one restaurant means that employees have more and more opportunities to interact with each other and discuss new ideas. Let's talk about some of the other buildings that Apple Park features. 1. The Steve Jobs Theater. The Steve Jobs Theater, or as it's now called, the Apple Auditorium, is a 1,000-seat theater in Apple Park. This theater has the world's tallest freestanding glass elevator at 42 feet high. Apple achieved this feat by using chemically treated glass. However, being the best at just one thing wasn't enough for Apple, so they also added the world's largest carbon fiber roof at the top too. The innovation promotion steps seem to be working. Interestingly, the Steve Jobs Theater is completely underground with only the top curved glass dome being above the ground, but at the same time, it's located on the highest hilltop in Apple Park as a sign of respect for Steve Jobs. Looking at the building, you might be confused that there are no support beams, but here's the fun part. Apple designed the building so that the curved glass walls act as the support beam. This is also why the roof is made of carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is super lightweight, but durable at the same time. The Steve Jobs Theater looks just as futuristic as the Ring, and if you've seen the latest Apple event, you probably saw the new iPhone being announced in it. 2. Rainbow Stage. Located in the garden is a rectangular field with a rainbow-colored stage. The stage is used mostly for announcements and performances. The colors used on the stage are exactly like those of the original Apple logo. The stage was designed by Jonathan Ive and Foster & Partners. It's one of the most recognizable structures in Apple Park and can be seen from pretty much any spot on the Ring. 3. Yoga and Wellness Center. To make sure that employees are well taken care of and de-stressed, there's also a wellness center. The Wellness Center is a 100,000 square foot building complete with showers, group workout areas, a gym, and even a laundry service. There's even a 2-story yoga room. The Wellness Center is impressive, but it's actually the yoga room that's the star of the show, as it's covered with a very special type of stone. Steve Jobs made sure that the stone used for the yoga room was sourced from a special Kansas quarry. This was done so that the yoga room could look like a restaurant in Yosemite that Jobs was a fan of. 4. Visitor Center. The only building visitors are allowed to visit without a pass is the Visitor Center. The Visitor Center is one building, but it's been divided into 4 different sections. The first is the 10,000 square foot Apple Store. This Apple Store is just like any other Apple Store, although it is a lot more flashy, obviously. All the latest Apple products are available in the Apple Store, and also some exclusive Apple merch and souvenirs. Other areas include a 2,300 square foot cafe, an observation deck, and an AR experience area. The AR experience area is designed so visitors can experience the inside of the building without actually having to visit it. Talk about innovation. It is Apple after all.
That's right, Wendy, because they're saying this is all about growth, not about cost cutting. So they say that the Heinz brands and business will continue to have corporate headquarters in Pittsburgh, and the Kraft branded businesses will continue to have a headquarters in Chicago. The Pittsburgh company, H.J. Heinz, founded nearly a century and a half ago, reinventing itself again.
We're talking about the creation of one of the largest corporations in the world and having the name Pittsburgh behind it and calling it home.
The merged company will be called Kraft Heinz, with joint headquarters in both Pittsburgh and Chicago. Current and future CEO Bernardo Hees tells me there may be shifts back and forth between the two cities, but he sees eventual growth, not cuts. Heinz executive Michael Mullen tells me from Chicago.
We think it's a very good day in the history of Pittsburgh. We were born and raised there 145 years ago. We see this as another historic step in our transformation. We think it's a very positive day for the city, our employees, our community.
The merger would create a massive food and beverage company, 3rd biggest in North America, 5th biggest in the world. One expert questions the long-term prospects for twin headquarters in Pittsburgh and Chicago.
I am very skeptical that 3 to 5 years from now, they would have 2 fully functioning corporate headquarters that are just a few hundred miles from each other.
Point Park business professor Elaine Luther says it's good they're not rushing to change things.
My view is that something will happen in the future. I do think that it's good that they're taking their time because they might do it in the best way.
Heinz tells me it will continue its relationship with the Steelers. This will still be Heinz Field, not Kraft Heinz Field.
Their long-term goal and their mission is for growth within the city and region.
And they also say they'll continue to honor their philanthropic commitments to the Pittsburgh area. Reporting live near Heinz Field, no, it won't be Kraft Heinz Field, still Heinz Field. Bob Mayo, Pittsburgh's Action News 4.
Yeah, Bob.